8:30. It's Friday morning. We're still got a live crappy quiz coming your way. No doubt it'll be hugely entertaining and not at all controversial. We'll also speak to Caoimhe O'Neill of The Athletic and preview Liverpool's chances to Premier League season ahead. But right now, time for the quick picks.
Some of these critics, these pundits,
I absolutely adore them lads. I have unbelievable time for them, but they're a great bunch, but it's not acceptable.
They like to play the hard man when they're on it. It's not very pleasant when you're trying to manage a team. All you're looking for is a bit of civility and a bit of decency, but they just miss you like you know, you have nothing to do with the bloody occasion.
This slot is dead. Nobody cares about this slot anymore. Will, Tommy, good morning to you. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a happy week, and congratulations on all your success in this slot. Let's have a look at the scores as we go into next week.
Joke. Absolute joke.
Fourth place is me on 38 points. Will is on 42 points, in joint second place with Adrian on 42 points. Congratulations, Tommy. You're on top with 44 points. I hope you've had happiness conveyed within your own emotions.
Only rightfully where I should be.
That's a joke.
Glad to see it. Going into the stretch and into the time that matters in the championship, I'm in the right position.
Still plenty of controversy over the fact he's in that position, given that last Sunday's All-Ireland semi-final was a draw, and yet points have been administered for Cork winning.
There is no draws in this year's All-Ireland Championship, Will. Extra time only, penalties only. I would have gone for the draw had it gone to penalties, but because there have been no replays, we've said that it will be winner on the day and we will take the margin on the day. And
we said it, Will, 6 weeks ago. Loud Offaly. You boys all got the points for Offaly after they bet Loud after extra time. I went for Loud that day. Was
Loud Offaly in the, just as a point of accuracy here, was Loud Offaly pre or post this bizarre and, like, you know, life-changing exercise of introducing new rules? Before or after that? Because that would actually heavily impact on, like, your potential to get whatever number of points you seem to get out of that, about 6 points coming from absolutely nowhere beforehand.
Well, I was actually in second position beforehand, Adrian.
Yeah. Look, it's ludicrous, and it's all a big ploy to keep me off the top. But look, so be it. Still a few weeks to go. I'd still be cocky.
I think a bit like Sligo last year, Tommy didn't kick up a fuss about the fact that result counted after extra time between Offaly and Louth. And now here we are in the serious end of the championship, and we actually have a debate around the rules, which I think we're more than entitled to have.
Don't be dragging poor Sligo into this. It's got nothing to do with Sligo.
I sure as hell enjoyed that little exchange between us all there, focusing on who should actually be at the top. Again, these scores don't matter. This is just for fun, and whoever finishes last, it doesn't matter. There's no relegation this year. Let's have a look at our predictions for tomorrow evening. So you guys last week were like, I'm going to go for a big score to, you know, as I say, be a scumbag and try and outdo the others and out-tactic everybody. So, you know what? Have a taste of your own medicine, everyone. Adrian's going for Dublin by 3. Tommy's going for Dublin by 2. Will is going for Dublin by 4. And I am going for Dublin by 10 points tomorrow evening. So read it and weep. The only other option there was to pick a Mayo win or go nuclear on Dublin. I have seen that big red button and I've gone, Dublin are back. Dublin are here. Dublin are going to win the 7 in a row potentially.
Would you actually believe
that?
It's going to
start tomorrow.
You're not doing that just for
I actually kind of believe it as well. I'm maybe over-egging it a little bit for the sake of this because I thought somebody might have gone 7, 8. I did expect one of you to go in that direction. I didn't expect everybody to go to use only one hand to count the margin of score. So I have over-egged it maybe a tad, but I do believe after the week that we've had that I'm starting to see a case be made here that Dublin are going to have a 2019 level win against Mayo tomorrow night.
Ooh. Lads, could you just imagine the controversy, the utter consternation in Kerry if Owen Sheehan had this week put his own county #1 in the official Gaelic football power rankings and also backed Mayo to beat Dublin in the quick picks?
It just couldn't happen, Tommy.
Forget about the lack of bunting and fireys. They'd have Owen Sheehan up on a stake. He'd be hanging there. They'd be like the David Beckham in England after the World Cup in 1998.
It would be a galaxy brain moment to do that. Do we not think, though, lads, are you guys not a little bit shaky over the magnitude of your prediction given the Oisin Mullen news and especially given not so much the performance against Kildare, because it wasn't great, let's face it, but some of the personnel that were coming back into that Kildare game? Because as we know, we don't get any team news. We don't know for sure what teams are going to line out before any game. But I think the most important two storylines from the Kildare game is that Owen Murchan was on the pitch and John Small were on the pitch, and that for me was a department where they were severely lacking, especially after the injury of Robbie McDade as well, and that's completely turned on its head. And I don't know. It's just like you look at the two sets of backs, and it's like Dublin have the upper hand in this department, and you bring in their shot efficiency. And I just think that in pretty much every department, you're looking at Dublin being stronger tomorrow. Yeah,
Dublin
go for it,
are a bit like waiting for Godot here, lads. You're kind of waiting for that performance to actually happen, but it feels inevitable that it will at some point while we're sitting here waiting for it. I mean, I remember chatting to Paddy Andrews after the game a couple of weeks ago against Kildare. He says he wasn't particularly concerned, that he felt that when Dublin got to the All-Ireland series, at that stage, you were going to see a team bring the best out. And then Mayo are almost the perfect opposition, given the rivalry that the sides have had over the last 8 years or so. And I am not quite expecting it to click to 10 points. I think Owen Sheehan may well be on the back door of James Horne's dressing room going into this weekend because of his prediction. But I think it could be a comfortable Dublin 3 or 4 point victory this weekend. Like, I think if Dublin need to go to a different gear, like with the semi-final a couple of years ago, Dublin can find that. And the Oisin Mullen injury takes away even more hope that you would have had for Mayo. Take the fact that Cillian O'Connor hasn't got back in time for the All-Ireland semi-finals. All logic would point towards a Dublin victory. But I don't know. Nothing has pointed this year to the fact that they're going to open up and win by 10 points against a team like Mayo, surely.
Like, it's always been so close on. And, like,
not the last
I can understand
meeting.
why. The last meeting, okay, you're right. At half-time, though, it was a match, and Dublin were incredibly controlled in that second half. But they didn't blow them away. Like, I know it was a 6-point win, but... And like in 2019... we had the blitzkrieg after half-time, an incredible 12 minutes of football when they blew them away. But Owen Merchant was flying that year. Yeah. John Small was flying that year. Paul Mannion was incredible in that 10-15 minutes. Kieran Kilkenny and Conor Callum were in form. Nobody had done anything to Brian Fenton that year. Like, Dublin were in really good form. They still had their bench. They still had Connolly to bring on. They had Andrews on the bench. They had, any amount of players that they could call upon. This year, I've seen both teams in the flesh a few times. Mayo have not proven it against any, bigger opposition. Like, absolutely. They breezed through the Division 2 campaign. They bet Sligo. They bet Leitrim. They got by Galway. They've done what they've had to do. It's such a pity that Cillian O'Connor isn't fit and ready to go. It's such a pity that there's doubts about Oisin Mullen. It's such a pity that Jason Doherty and Brendan Harrison haven't played since that Dublin Mayo game in 2019. It really is.
What do you mean doubts about Oisin Mullen? Is he not just out?
Well, as I said, we're quite sure of the team sheet.
I genuinely don't know.
If Oisin Mullen plays, can I change my prediction? I would genuinely, absolutely. Come on, let's. This is a brave call.
Okay, so Oisin Mullen's in, Adrian.
Oisin
what are you
starts.
What's your prediction? Then,
I'm going Mayo by 1.
So he's what did he pick?
I'm happy to allow this to happen. By the way, if Oisin Mullen plays, we can.
I don't know if I am, because I was thinking of switching myself.
Oisin Mullen's worth 4 points against Dublin.
Yeah.
He probably is.
Easily.
He probably is.
Yeah. Like, honestly, when you talk about the Dublin defence, it's horrible to have to come back. It's actually, like I was talking about Lord Varys earlier on, it's actually, in some ways, it's so disheartening to have to bring this conversation back to a couple of players that are out. Like, you'd love to be talking about, like, getting into the meat and drink. Like Tommy was saying, if Cillian was fit and Oisin Mullen was fit, all those margins would have been squeezed. And honestly, I'd be out the other side. If Cillian was playing, I'd definitely be calling for Mayo, just on the basis of what we've seen from Dublin so far. Look, like, you're right, obviously, it's Dublin and all the evidence is there, and there's a slight ludicrousness to what I'm saying, but I would definitely be pumping for them in a big way. But if he starts, if everybody's agreeable to that, if he starts, I'll go Mayo by 1.
Like, I don't know. I'm not agreeable.
I'm not agreable to that.
I've been happy enough for a 4-point swing on one player being fit.
No, but if it's nonsense, right? You should agree to it.
Just pick your prediction. Like,
stick with your prediction, Adrian.
I don't know. I want to clarify something here. My prediction is based on what I feel Dublin might do. And, like, Adrian, you're talking about all available evidence and all that. I'm not picking this on evidence at all, which is this is not a rational decision. I'll completely accept that, because if we were picking based on evidence, Dublin are not 10 points better than Mayo based on evidence. But I actually think, Tommy, what you said is actually a really interesting one. That even on last year's All-Ireland final, the evidence was that Dublin were way better than Mayo, and as you say, it was a relatively slender margin compared to the performance. And maybe even in 2019 it was the other way around, that the performance over the 70 minutes maybe wasn't 10 points ahead of Mayo, and yet it was a 10-point win because of that one quarter where they were absolutely sensational. And I think we might actually be leaning more towards that, because My prediction is based on what Con has shown in the past, what Fenton has shown in the past, what Kilkenny has shown in the past. And that, for me, is a rational enough argument to suggest that they can explode, and they surely have to explode. These guys are not over the hill. Like, if they were in their mid-30s, maybe we could be saying something, but they're not over the hill. I just can't get my head around why they haven't been playing so well. And I am concluding that the reason why they haven't been playing so well is that they are about to explode. It's just going to happen, that it is just a dormant team.
Or it's something bigger than that, and there's been a little bit of unrest, and we've all heard the whispers about this guy's not getting on with this guy, and maybe they're not all pulling together. And if that's the case, then suddenly it's something bigger. And Mayo have a big, still, even with the lads out, still have a big chance this weekend.
Maybe, and maybe that's it.
Like if it's Dublin that played Meath, who wins that game?
If it was Dublin,
Mayo played Meath.
The Dublin team that played Meath turn up tomorrow. Who wins?
See, that's a complicated question. And
like,
Tommy,
if that happens, right? We 100% know that Mayo aren't just going to match Dublin in terms of bravery and physically for just one quarter. They're not going to be rattled by them. So if that was to happen, if the same Dublin who turned up against, the Dublin against Meath was very good in the first quarter. Like there was about 10 minutes there where they were really, really impressive starting in the second quarter. But if that Dublin team's second half performance turns up, and Tommy Conroy and Ryan O'Donoghue, like Ryan O'Donoghue had a great All-Ireland final last year, if the two of them can back it up, it's just so important that they back it up. Like if Tommy Conroy comes to life this weekend, lads, if he roasts Johnny Cooper, like if or even Mick Fitzsimons, like, because I think he can. I really think he can if he gets a run on them. Tommy Conroy goes for goal. Like that's what Mayo need this weekend. I am not agreeable to Adrian taking and covering himself by going Mayo -1 if Oisin Mullen.
I'm not covering myself. It's a risky move.
Oisin Mullen will start.
It's a more risky move.
I actually think Oisin Mullen will start. I actually do. Right. So I'm not agreeable to that. Not in any way.
Why do you think that,
I do
Tommy?
think that there's a serious chance. Why do I think that?
Yeah.
Just from watching back games over the last couple of years, I've been watching back a lot of games from that decade, and there always seems to be some bloody rumour the week of a match. There really does. And I wouldn't blame Mayo if they just put this out in the pipeline. And Mullen, Mullen, maybe something pull up. Listen, the week of championship, clubs around the country, lads are pulling up all the time. It always happens, and everyone at training goes, "We're going to be missing this fella on Sunday." But you never know. You really never know. With a bit of adrenaline, wrap it up, get a good rub. Hopefully, Oisin Mullen's good to go.
You should be encouraging me to take that Mayo. If you're also going on about Dublin, you should be encouraging me to take Mayo because
I'm going -2.
At that point, Tommy, that's you home and hosed.
Why? What do you mean?
Done. If I'm wrong and you're saying I am wrong, given your prediction,
then
that's you done.
I don't care.
Will isn't going to challenge you at the end of the day. Let's face it, his race is run. It's me and you, baby.
Quick picks.
You should be encouraging me to take this on.
Tommy, so who do we expect to play in place of Oisin Mullen tomorrow evening then? Like, is it someone like Rory Brickenden?
Yeah, Brickenden or Hessian will probably be the first man in. And Hessian's very impressive as an under-20. He played well. He did nothing wrong in the games that he started, but I would obviously say that, as much as Dublin's lost a lot of medals in that Ireland dressing room, Mayo have lost a hell of a lot of experience in the last 18 months as well. So there's a lot of young lads on that pitch. Like if you remember 2019, Matthew Ruan was only a kid that year. Like he's a leader now. He's a man now. He's leading the way.
Here's what happens, Tommy. One of those guys comes in, but they go in as a corner back, right? And then Lee Keegan is at 6. And they just turn this Oisin Mullen situation into a positive, and Lee Keegan is running the other way all day, rather than. But like maybe that was always the plan. Maybe after 2019 they'd been burned so much by the Keegan on Conor O'Callaghan situation that they were like, we're never going to play him as a fullback ever again. But maybe this injury just gives them the kick to say, okay, Keegan all of a sudden has double importance tomorrow evening, and all the history that he's got of playing brilliant games against Dublin actually comes to fruition. And I know this kind of flies in the face of what I'm predicting, but there's a silver lining there potentially.
On that as well, I'd love to see Paddy Durkin going the other way as well. I think Paddy Durkin can have an unbelievable impact in that game. In the middle of the blitzkrieg, Paddy Durkin had 2 shots, right, when Dublin absolutely annihilated them. Cluxton somehow clawed a ball down from over the crossbar, nearly was a goal, and nearly fell to Jim O'Connor, and Durkin dropped another ball short. Like Paddy Durkin can have an unbelievable influence on Mayo going forward. He can make them click, and I really hope his whole game isn't stuck to Kieran Kilkenny, because he had a great first half last year and he went off injured in the All-Ireland final, and Plunkett coming on for him made a big difference. Dublin had that black card. So fine lines, lads, and that's why I'm going with Dublin by 2. It's hurting me not to back Mayo here, but I'm going Dublin by 2.
Right. Okay. Will, final word to you actually on this game, but then also just your quick prediction on the real game this weekend, Offaly Roscommon.
Yeah, I mean, talk about expectation building in an area. I've never, since probably the mid-90s, known as much excitement in Offaly about an All-Ireland final, given the way that this team have played so far. And that's one of the most concerning things going into that game against Roscommon on Sunday, is just the weight of expectation. I'm hoping that the players have been staying away from social media throughout the week, and that Declan Kelly, their manager, has been keeping them away from the hype, because it seems the fact that they beat Dublin as comprehensively as they did in the Leinster final, and the performance they put in against Cork in the semi-final, has installed them as favourites going into the game. And look, they played some really good football, but if anyone sat down, I'm sure they've been doing their own research ahead of the game too, and watched Roscommon's victory against Down last Sunday. Roscommon are a team who've put in good form 1 week out from the game, so it's a very novel final for both teams, and it's great for Offaly and Roscommon to have been able to get the lion's share of 24,000 tickets because of what happened with Tyrone's COVID-19 situation. So there's going to be plenty of colour going into that game. It seems, despite Ticketmaster doing everything possible to stop people from getting their hands on tickets when they went on sale on Wednesday morning, eventually everyone got sorted out and tickets have been swapped around and so on. So really looking forward to it. I think Offaly are going to win based on what they've done so far, but I wouldn't be as confident, I think, as some people are predicting outside the county based on 2 matches that they watched in TG Carr earlier this year. And yeah, I think
God, hipster comment right there.
well, look, no. I love TG Carr, and I love the fact that all the games are shown. Let's just be very clear on this. My point is that everyone is backing it off 2 games that they sat down and watched and went, oh, look at this team playing really nice football, and they're just going to go to Croke Park and win. It's a new experience for so many of those players as well, lads. Like, we've seen good underage teams go into finals before and went, hey, where did their form disappear from a couple of weeks previously? So it's more difficult than senior teams who are a bit more experienced at it. But look, I'd love to see Offaly win, and it's been remarkable to come home from Dublin each day into Tullamore and to see more flags going up in businesses along the way. It's a long time since that's actually happened. And looking at some of the pictures from Roscommon as well, they've got the flags out across the county too. So really looking forward to it, and hopefully we can get one over on our neighbours just west of the Shannon.
Best of luck, Will. Football's coming home. Tommy, enjoy the weekend as well.
You too, lads.
That's
Cheers,
this
lads.
week's Quick Picks.
I absolutely adore them lads. I have unbelievable time from, but they're a great bunch, but it's not acceptable.